Morrison government is announcing our next federal budget, and we need to show them the power of our movement and that they need to stop funding fossil fuels and actually prioritise our present and futures.
Who here feels like they've been ignored by the Morrison government? Who here feels like they have been ignored? Who here thinks Scott Morrison needs to hold himself accountable to his country? Over 750 strikes are happening around the world today, and over 29 are happening around the country.
36!
On top of that, there are countless actions happening between now and the election across the country so that we can be absolutely certain that this climate crisis is right at the top of the government's agenda. We're here to show our leaders that young people are still here, we're still fighting, and we will win this fight.
Olszak is a 13-year-old girl from Lismore who lost her home and her school in the recent mega floods. In 2019, during the bushfire crisis, she spoke at a school strike for climate event in Lismore when she was only 11. Ella has travelled with her mum and her brother over 700 kilometres to speak to us today, to tell her story and to demand climate action from the Prime Minister. Please welcome Ella!
Refugee. As you all know, Lismore recently had a mega flood, and my house, which I was born in, and my school and town have been severely damaged. This is a climate disaster. The water came in my house nearly 2 metres high, and I live in an upstairs-downstairs house. That's a lot of water. We managed to evacuate around 2 a.m, and lucky for us, we had a house on a hill to go to where we were safe. Many others were not so lucky. People had to get up on their roofs and wait for hours in a rain bomb to be rescued. People tragically died, including someone we know. Even though my house is wrecked and I've lost most of my things, I feel like I'm still lucky because me and my family and my puppy are alive, but our chicken sadly drowned. I am now staying on the Gold Coast with family and going to school there because my school got destroyed. Until my house gets fixed, which won't be for a few more months, is when I get to go home. And I can't even live with my mum or my brother anymore. This is totally devastating and I miss my friends a lot. This mega flood was an extreme weather event and is the largest one ever in Lismore on record. It is a climate disaster. We went through the 2017 floods and the terrible bushfires in 2019 and 2020, which impacted our broader community. We had friends that lost their homes in those fires. What this makes me see is that extreme weather events are becoming more and more frequent. This is really scary, and what's scarier is that we all know that burning fossil fuels is contributing to climate change, which is then contributing to these extreme weather events. And what's even scarier still is that we have a government that continues to fund and promote the mining and burning of fossil fuels, despite what the science and victims of these events say. That's me. I'm a victim of the government's continued failure to act on the climate change, and I'm not happy about it. I'm actually terrified for our future and the future of all of us, while we have leaders that don't even lead us in the right direction. In fact, we're going in the exact wrong direction. So this is what I've got to say to you, Prime Minister Morrison. While you continue to fund the mining and burning of fossil fuels, you are destroying homes and lives. Have you ever had to flee from your house in the middle of the night, in the middle of a storm, scared out of your mind because you don't know what's going to happen, or if you will survive, or if your house will still be okay, or if your friends are okay? It's not something I would wish on anyone. And you didn't even have the guts to come and talk to us when you visited Lismore. You went and mopped a basketball court that already looked clean. You should... You should have come to my house to mop the floors, as they really needed it, and extra help would have been nice. for is a government that is not in denial and one that listens to the science and the people. We want to be safe in our homes all the time, and we want the government to stop funding fossil fuels and to get real. Climate change is happening, and climate disasters are a consequence of climate change, and we want action now to make sure that these events do not continue to ruin lives like it has mine. Thank you.
The youth are rising! No more compromising! The youth are rising! No more compromising! The youth are rising! No more compromising!
Thank you, Ella. It is an honour to hear your story. It is clear the government refuses to take responsibility for their actions and leave youth behind. Just last week in the Sharma versus the Environment Minister case, the government used tax money to appeal the case to say that they don't have a duty of care to young people to protect us from the harms of climate change. Let me say that again. Our government has used public money to escape responsibility instead of helping the victims of the climate crisis and preventing further catastrophe. To the school students here today who want to get involved in organising strikes like these and share their story, we invite you to join your local School Strike for Climate team. If you live here in Warrong, also known as Sydney, you can join our team. It is one of the many ways you can get involved with activism and grow a critical and well-rounded understanding of the world we live in. To join, scan one of the QR codes that some of the marshals have and check the box down the bottom that says you want to join.
I want to emphasize again how appalling is it that our government used public money, resources, just to say that they don't have a legal responsibility to care about children? That's despicable! That is despicable! And that's why on April 29, we're striking again. We're striking again here in the Sydney CBD. So tell your friends, tell your family, there are some fires going around, and we'll see you there. Because this one strike, it doesn't end here. And the fight will not stop until we win. We've had a lot of people who wanted to travel from various locations to join us today, but weren't able to make it. Instead, they sent letters. Now, Kyla's going to read a letter to you from Lola, a student striker who lives in Bowral in Darrawal country. Lola has addressed their letter directly to Scott Morrison.
Dear Prime Minister Scott Morrison, my name is Lola Strava-Scoofis and I am a 14-year-old school striker living on stolen Gundungurra land. Today I am unable to make the Sydney climate strike. Instead, I am writing you this letter that will be read aloud by one of my fabulous MCs. I am sick and tired of having to be writing yet another letter to you, but you have shown yet again that you do not care. You don't care about the students of this country. You don't care about our families, our friends, our communities that are being ripped apart by the climate crisis. I still remember the 2019-2020 summer bushfires and the sheer terror felt by everyone in my community. We would be at school watching grey clouds of smoke get bigger and bigger until it seemed they would swallow the sky completely. It only got worse from there. I distinctly remember sitting in my house on New Year's Eve watching the sky turn dark orange. I remember sitting in a friend's house in Sydney watching towns go up in flames on the news. My home was lucky enough to go unscathed, but the terror we all felt that summer alone should have been enough to spark some preventative actions. How many once in a decade, once in a lifetime, once in a century weather events have to occur before you take some action? How many bushfires need to burn through our homes? How many floods need to destroy our town? I say enough is enough, and so does everyone else striking today. We We don't need your handshakes and empty promises anymore. In fact, we never needed them. We need you to take immediate action on the climate crisis. The safety of Australia's youth should be your top priority. So why isn't it? We are demanding that you put people over profits going into the next federal election. Otherwise, the youth will vote you out. Trust me when I say we are louder than ever before.
The people, united, will never be defeated. The people, united, will never be defeated. The people, united, will never be defeated.
When I say fuck you, you say ScoMo, fuck you! ScoMo! Fuck you! ScoMo! Fuck you! ScoMo! Fuck you! ScoMo!
I have another letter from a Barrel school striker who couldn't make it today. From Beatrix, a school striker from Barrel. And this is the letter they wrote to Scott Morrison. Dear Prime Minister Scott Morrison, enough is enough. My name is Beatrix Jones, and I'm a 15-year-old striker living on stolen Gundagara land. For years, my community and fellow strikers have been asking for action, and for years, we have been denied. Now, for the third time in my life, I've experienced a once-in-a-lifetime extreme weather phenomenon that has threatened the lives and homes of my friends and families. Everyone I know is terrified. I am terrified, and yet Australia continues to burn fossil fuels. Once again, the youth are begging for action while you continue to condemn us. While my home was safe from flooding, many were not. My school was so damaged that we were asked to stay home. Many of my friends could not even get out of their town due to the avalanches onto the mountain roads. I remember being stuck at my home while my mum frantically called her friend whose daughter was away at camp. They were flooded in and she did not have a place to go home. She couldn't go home for 2 days. How many more stories like this do you need to hear? How many more people do we have to beg? Will the crisis continue until it begins to affect you? By that time, all hope will be lost. We need immediate action, not empty promises, not handshakes, and not plans that are too late. With every new coal mine opened, every fossil fuel banned, and with every dismissal, you are condemning us further. We are begging you, put people over profits, take immediate action and save us. In hope, Beatrix Jones. Climate justice is intrinsic to our fight for a better, safer world. There is no justice for climate without justice for First Nations people, for refugees, for disabled people, for people of colour, for workers. We cannot leave anyone behind in the climate crisis. Now we want to welcome Thomas Mayer, a Torres Strait Islander man born on Larrakia country in Darwin. He worked in the port of Darwin as a wharf labourer and is a member of the Maritime Union of Australia. After a period as the Secretary of the MUA's Northern Territory branch, he is now the MUA's National Indigenous Officer. He is a signatory and advocate for the Uluru Statement from the Heart and is also the author of a number of books about the Uluru Statement, the Gurindji Walk-Off and First Nations Fathers and Sons.
Thank you. Kapul Goiga, that means good day everybody. As was said, Torres Strait Islander, proudly Zenat Kes. Come all the way from Larrakia country to bring the solidarity to you guys of the union movement. I see lots of union people in the crowd. I'm union proud. As said, I'm a Torres Strait Islander. And one thing I'll never forget was several years ago, I think it was 2015, and Scott Morrison, Peter Dutton and Tony Abbott, there was a microphone on. They didn't know it was still on. And those bastards were laughing at the fact that the water that the seas are rising and we're starting to lose our homes in the Torres Strait and in the Pacific. Shame on them. They were laughing at it as far back as 2015, and long before that. These people have known what we're facing in this world, and that my home where my ancestors are buried, we know our ancestors' name from way before colonisation. And my people in the islands, we're picking up the bones of our ancestors from the beaches. Shame on these people. So we've got to fight. Workers, young people, all of us, we cannot take no for an answer from these decision makers. We've got to kick them out. And I say, Scott Morrison, your time is up. We were talking about the Pilliga. I was there with the Gomeroi people a couple of weeks ago, and I'm so proud to hear that they have resoundingly said no to Santos. They say Gamel means no. And you know what? In the Northern Territory, Santos are doing the same thing. They're ignoring First Nations. They want to frack our country, and they want to take away our futures. So say this with me. Shame, Santos, shame. Shame, Santos, shame. Shame, Santos, shame. Shame, Santos, shame. I'll tell you what, Scott Morrison, he doesn't like workers, he doesn't like unions. I've been a unionist for more than 20 years now, and every step of the way Liberal governments have tried to take away our rights. You know why? Because we've got power in numbers. Scott Morrison, he hates youth as well. He hates the next generation. He's a greedy bastard. He hates First Nations people. They've said no. They've said no to our calls in the Uluru Statement for a voice. They've had the opportunity to do something with it for 5 years, and they've done nothing. But you know what? Just like you guys, just like the next generation, First Nations people will not take no for an answer. And this is the message that I want to leave with you. Do not take no for an answer. Go out there, talk to people, the unconverted. Challenge yourself and tell them that when this bloke is trying to get his job back in a couple of months, very soon, that we're going to say no and your time is up. Thank you.
Climate justice, workers' rights, one struggle, one fight. Climate justice, workers' rights, one struggle, one fight. Climate justice, workers' rights, one struggle, one fight. Thank you, Thomas, for your words. It is so important to be listening to frontline voices such as First Nations peoples who are hit first and hardest by the climate crisis and who have been leading in this fight for the longest. Not only that, but unionists have been staunchly standing up against those in power for so long, demanding rights, demanding respect, and putting up a strong fight. The climate movement would not be as strong as it is today without the leadership of First Nations peoples and the strength of unionists. So thank you, Thomas.
Santos will be taking Gomeroi mob to court in the first 2 weeks of April to strip away their native title. If Gomeroi native title is legally stripped away, we say screw that. We don't care what this government has to say about Gomeroi land. It's their land. This government should have no say in what happens to it, especially when mob have so clearly expressed that they do not consent. At 12 p.m. on the 8th of April, we will be outside the Federal Court of Australia at 184 Phillip Street to resist this court case with Gomeroi mob. We want you to join us there to show our collective strength and support of the Gomeroi fight. Always was, always will be Aboriginal land. What? Aboriginal land. Always was, always will be Aboriginal land. Lock the Gate are handing out some flyers for this action, So make sure to take one so that you have the details. We'll also be posting details for this event on our socials, and if you don't get a flyer, just check it out over there. Next, we have another letter sent through by Hildy Anderson, a school striker from Bundjalung Country or Lismore. She couldn't fly down to join us today like Ella, but she wanted to make sure that her voice was heard. She says, "My name is Hildy Anderson, and I live in Lismore, New South Wales on Bundjalung land. A place you have probably all heard about by now, whether it's devastating footage of homes ripped from their foundations with raging waters, businesses that lost everything, people without homes and without livelihoods. I was lucky enough to wake at 9 o'clock on the morning of the 28th to water lapping at my driveway, not meters in my house at 5 a.m. like so many did in Lismore. The yells coming from outside were horrible as elderly people and kids and pets were hauled out of people's holiday canoes. No one expected this. We started counting the steps of our veranda as the water rose, comforting our family friends who were with us and had evacuated the night before. Their house was raised, but it wasn't enough. We all frantically messaged friends in low-lying areas to make sure they were okay. Once the water receded, strangers helping strangers salvaged anything they could, but still nearly a month later, and the floodwaters have their mark on my community, finishing off chucking their beloved ones out windows onto the mud-caked streets. People hear of the news. 1,700 houses condemned. My school lost everything. The water reached the roof of the sports hall, and now there are kids without a home, without a school, and without their family's income. It took Scott Morrison 10 days to think this disaster was worth his time. Shame! What does this reflect about our government? If we continue to do nothing in the face of a climate crisis, who's to say this won't happen again as soon as people are back on their feet or even before? When the waters rise, so do we.
We want to thank you, Hilda. We wish you could have come down today and join us in person, and we would have loved to hear your voice, but we appreciate you for sending a letter down. We have one final letter from Ethan Lyons, a Wurundjeri school striker from the Warrung team who lives on Darug country. Hello, my name is Ethan. I'm a 16-year-old Wurundjeri striker trying to heal country through intersectional means, with First Nations justice at the centre of everything I do. I'm also another young person tired of politicians refusing to take meaningful action on the climate crisis, choosing to put profit over people whilst completely disregarding the climate demands of First Nations mob. Despite the clear science, which has proven time and time again that immediate action needs to be taken, politicians prioritise fossil fuel funding, ignoring the pleas of young people and continuing to completely impede First Nations people's connections to country. Young black people, like myself, should not feel that this upcoming election is our last chance to save our future and connection to land and culture. It is imperative that we stand strong and fight for a future. This is why we are here today. To demand world leaders to choose people, not profit, and to send a clear message demanding climate action. First Nations justice is imperative to reaching climate justice. Understanding intersectionality and the role mob have in the climate movement means that we can find age-old solutions. Through decolonising the climate movement and Australia as a whole is the first step towards climate justice. We will begin to see change when our leaders are black and when our solutions are black. Australia is a colonial, white supremacist project set to oppress mob, but we will not be stopped. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere, and the fight will not stop here. Country is hurting. Elders are hurting. I am hurting. But we have persisted and we will continue to resist. The youth are rising. No more compromising. The youth are rising. No more compromising. The youth are rising. No more compromising.
The youth are rising. No more compromising. The youth are rising. No more compromising. The youth are rising. No more compromising. We're now opening up the stage to young people to share their stories on why they strike for climate. This is a space for young people to step up, and it can be scary speaking in front of a crowd, especially as a school student. So we want to hold this space specifically for high school students and primary students only. Everyone else, we appreciate you so much, but we really want to use this space right now to empower primary and high school age students, particularly if you're a First Nations person, person of colour, or someone with lived experience from the climate crisis. I just want to welcome, our first speaker will be Alice, and yep.
Scott Morrison, enough is enough! My name is Alice and I'm a Year 10 student living on stolen Ku-ring-gai land. Morrison, your government has continuously poured money into the fossil fuel industry. As we have seen today from the amazing Lismore strikers, your inaction on the climate crisis is terribly affecting many Australians today. This includes everyone affected by floods, bushfires, droughts and other disasters. First Nations people whose land continues to be destroyed by new mines and fossil fuel plants. And the young people of Australia who have had to grow up in fear, knowing that they will not have a safe and stable future if we continue at this rate. Morrison, your inaction is not going unnoticed. The Australian people demand better. Vote for our futures at the coming federal election.
Sorry, I just want to capture this moment, bit of a selfie moment. Smile. Now we want to welcome Lucy, who's 14 years old.
Hi everyone, I'm Lucy. I'm here on behalf of me and my family as well as every school student in Australia. I was told by my family and by my school that I was not allowed to come here today. I was told that I would get in trouble from the school. I would lose my privileges as a leader in the school for being here today. I was told that I couldn't be here even though my school are the people educating me about this, but telling me, oh no, you can't be an activist. You can't skip school to show that you care about your future. In 2019, my family, specifically my grandma, was heavily impacted by the bushfires. This is the home of me and my family. Me and my sister care about it more than you could know. And it was not okay for us to be ignored as our grandma's house was burnt right up to her backyard. That is where my granddad lives. That is where my grandma lives. That is where my family is built. It is not okay to be ignored like this when our families and our personal lives are being so deeply impacted. I just want to say on behalf of everybody here, thank you so much, and that we will not be silenced.
I just want to introduce Izzy Raj Steppings, who's how old are you now? 15. And 2 years ago, Izzy was here, back in 2019 in December, a 13-year-old directly confronted by police, and now she's here again.
Hi everyone, about 3 years ago I was here at Kirribilli and you might have seen on the news police disrupted the protest, but what I'm so mad about is I was 13 when that happened, and today Ella is here. She was the one who was affected by the floods, and she is here today talking about how we are underwater, and 3 years ago we were on fire and nothing has changed. How many more young children, young school kids are going to miss out on school, be out in like such intimidating situations before we see real action from our leaders. It is disgusting that we have to be here, that we have to be wasting our school days here protesting because nothing else works. We've tried to like write letters and do petitions, but it takes us being in front of Scott Morrison's house to get the attention, to get people to understand that climate change is such a vital issue and it's affecting us right now. It's affecting us 1 year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. We need action.
I want to welcome James, who's only 13.
Hi, my name is James, and a couple of years ago, I was really terrified of climate change and hearing that it's going to destroy our future. Now, Scott Morrison, living in there, he is funding coal, oil and gas plants and is destroying our future. Now, I just want to say, the man in that building is not going to do anything unless people will rise and tell him what to do. Now, as I stand here, I am pretty terrified of speech, but I think if all of us here today chip in, we can help overthrow the government and get a better government! Yes! Change! Change!
What do we want? Climate justice! When do we want it? When do we want climate justice? When do we want it? How are we going to get it? How are we going to get it? How are we going to get it? Fight for it! Are there any more school students who want to come up and just say a few words? Anyone? I just want to just say this is for school students only. Woo! Do you want to go around?
Hi, I'm Sana. I'm really scared to be here today, but as a queer person of color, I have been ignored my entire life about this situation, and I will not be silenced anymore.
You can come up around the front. You can come around the front.
Sorry. Hi, my name's Akasha. I'm from International Grammar School, and I am fucking pissed off! The Morrison government needs to do more! We are dying, we are drowning, we are burning, and he doesn't give a shit! What is wrong with you? We are mad! We are the young people of Australia, and we are pissed off! This is not good enough! If you don't do something now, we are all going to die! By the time you care about it, it will be too late! Vote out the Morrison government! We need change now!
My name is Lucy Bell. This is my best friend Misha. It is her birthday today. She is here on her birthday. And we're just here to say, eat a fucking lemon, you silly old man. When is it gonna get to you? We're all mad. Fuck him. I love you all.
We'd like to say fuck you, Scott Morrison. Oh my God. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of going to protest, missing out on school, missing out on time to do assignments for my future. Because you're fucking up our future. That's what you're doing, sitting inside your house. Fuck you! Fuck you!
everybody. My name is Jalamba. I'm 11 years old and I attend Alexandria Park Community School. I have been to every single climate strike since 2018. It was so scary seeing the recent floods on the news, and I still remember having to wear masks during the bushfires because of the air quality. Scott Morrison, we are on your doorstep. We aren't asking you, we're fighting you. Back off Aboriginal land and take climate action now.
I'm Audrey. I'm living on stolen Darawal land, and I'm gay as fuck. And my future depends on a man who's not going to live to see it. A man who's using his position of power to serve his own interests and not the interests of the Australian people. And I am sick of it! Thank you!
Okay, we're just going to do a few more, but we're going to wrap up soon. So, sorry, I know everyone has a lot to say, but we'll just get through the last few. Hi, I'm Ida. I'm 11 years old, and I'm an active protester. I love to bushwalk, and whenever, like in 2019, and like when the fires had happened, we went up and we went for hikes around there, and it was all burnt through, and I'm disgusted by it. Thank you.
I'm here to say I've been coming to these strikes since I was 3 years old. Back then, this wasn't as important as it is now. If we don't change now, it will only get worse and worse. I am skipping school today to come here. My education doesn't matter if I can't live. Fuck you, ScoMo!
Hi, I'm Leah. I'm 12 years old.
Hi, I'm Sana. I'm also 12.
We'd like to say, Scott Morrison, stop stealing our future!
Hi everyone! My name is Emma and I am 15 years old and I'm from the Central Coast. And I just have to say that we have all skipped school today to be, well, most of us have all skipped school today to be here. Because apparently if we're not inconveniencing the government in some way, they won't listen. And I'm tired of it. Hey, I'm Odette, and I come from a position of white privilege, and I'm here to tell the government that their white privilege is running out. This is now! Climate change ends now! Fuck you, ScoMo, and fuck you, Paratet!
I would just like to say that ScoMo is a bully. And what do you do to bullies? You stand up to them, alright? Okay? Alright? Bullying no way. Bullying no way. And we stand up to bullies. He's using bullying tactics against what he calls his own people. That's what I want to say.
We've just got one more.
Hi, I'm Saskia. I'm from Ravenswood School for Girls. Is that good? No, right in. Oh, right in? This better? And I'm living on stolen Guringai land. I have skipped school today. I have put my future, put my studying at risk, so I can tell the government that they need to do something right fucking now. I already have enough shit on my plate. They should be doing their fucking jobs. I have to deal with study. I want to be a vet. I have to deal with study, and I have to deal with homophobic bitches at my school. Fuck them. So they should do their fucking jobs so I can get back to my fucking life. Fuck you, ScoMo, you piece of shit.
Thank you to these amazing students for speaking up today. It is both incredible and infuriating that teenagers and children can grasp the climate crisis better than our own Prime Minister. Speaking of Scott Morrison, mark your calendars for April Fools as we invite you all to our Friday Fossil Fuel Fiesta. Come back here to Kirribilli House at 5 p.m. next Friday. At 5 p.m. next Friday on the 1st of April to fill the streets with noise yet again. More info will be found in the following days on our social media, but for now, wear red, bring friends and family to this family-friendly event so Morrison knows how much of a joke he is. Let's make sure that Scott Morrison knows that we won't put up with fossil fools like him anymore.
And as we already mentioned before, be at the federal court at 12 p.m. on the 8th of April to stand with Gomeroi Mob as they fight for their native title against the gas giant Santos. We cannot let Santos get away with this, and we need to show them that no matter what the court says, the people stand with Gomeroi.
And finally, save the date, because on April 29th, we will be striking again. The government needs to hear loud and clear that we are holding them to account. From the streets, to the ballots, to the courts and beyond, we will not stop fighting for climate justice. This is just the beginning. Whose streets? Our streets. Whose planet? Whose future? Our future.
So we all thank you for coming out today, and we extend our thanks to speakers and organising crew, and we will take the Prime Minister's inaction to the election.
Hi everyone, I am the Marshal Captain. Just wanted to make an announcement that we're all going to be marching out of here together to the station and dispersing from there. Yeah, so if everyone can start to kind of head over that way, I think we're going to have our MCs go right to the front. So wait where you are for a second. Sorry. We're going to let the MCs get to the front and lead us there. If everyone can just hang around for a sec. I'm following the pink hair, they're getting there. Let's get some chants going. Can I get my banner holders to the front?
Put the liberals in the trash! Scoundrels, clowns, scoundrels, clowns! Scoundrels, clowns, scoundrels, clowns! Scoundrels, clowns, scoundrels, clowns! Put the liberals in the trash! Scoundrels, clowns! Put the liberals in the trash! Was that you up there earlier? Yeah, he did a great job. Thank you so much. 1, 2, 3, 4, kick the liberals out the door. 1, 6, 7, 8, 20, 50, into the right. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, Let's go!